KP.
KPC.
News.
Information. Culture. KPCC.
California sensibility.
Don't wanna
Cheers.
be a player. I don't wanna be playing no more.
I'm not a player, I just crush a lot.
Punisher, still got what you're looking for.
Hey guys, it's Amy. So a little something special today on the Mashup Americans. It's our very first live show with the one and only Eddie Huang. Yes, that Eddie, founder of Baohaus Restaurants, star of Huang's World, and author of 2 books, Fresh Off the Boat and Double Cup Love. You must buy these books, guys. Rebecca and Eddie taped the show at Scripps College in California as part of its public series of talks, Scripps Presents. The series features conversations with today's most lively and provocative thinkers and explores the intersection of contemporary humanities and pop culture. Very mashy, and we just had to share it with all of you. Enjoy the show.
I'm not a player, I just crush a lot.
Punisher, still got what you're looking for.
Uptown, baby, uptown.
I don't wanna be a player.
Hi, Eddie.
Hi.
I'm going to ask you a few speed round questions, which
right.
are...
I'm gonna get rid of this pillow.
Yeah, I'm liking mine. It's keeping me very...
I'm not into the lumbar support.
Really?
Yeah, I'm good.
Maybe I'll try that. No,
Yeah.
I liked it better. Okay. How do you mash up?
I'm a Taiwanese, Chinese, sometimes proud to be American, bilingual, shants-wearing person that was raised on hip-hop and basketball.
I'm really into your shants right now.
Thank you. I'm
I
wearing the
mean,
shants.
like, what material is that?
I think it's wool, but my strategy is pretty much to just wear the same thing I wore in 9th grade, and when it goes out of style, go out less, and when it's back in style, go out more. I've been wearing the same
I really
shit
like
since-
that. I'm glad that I'm not doing that because it would be just like white tank tops and pants that were cut here on the side with some Adidas shell toes, which is not cool. So what did you call your grandmother?
Lalao and Nai Nai, because Lalao is your mother's side and Nai Nai is your dad's side.
And which is the grandmother who lived with you?
At one point, they both lived with us, but the one that lived with me longer was Nai Nai on my dad's side. She stayed with us longer in Florida, and then like for one summer, Lalao came and stayed with us.
And did they get along when they were at your house?
They never stayed together.
Okay.
I don't think they had like beef. I think they liked each other for the most part, but my parents had beef for so long that they were just concerned. They were genuinely concerned for everybody involved in the house.
What's your comfort food?
Soup dumplings, DeFara's pizza. Ooh, I love Noodle Town late at night. If I'm in New York, I go to Noodle Town, get seafood pan-fried noodles. I got like, it depends what neighborhood I'm in. I got a different comfort food, but yeah, soup dumplings, seafood pan-fried noodles, DeFara's pizza, pastrami sandwich if somebody's open, and chopped cheese or like a tuna sub from the bodega.
Yeah, they do
that's my
have.
comfort
That's
food.
what we're missing here in LA. Is actually a really good bodegas.
Yeah. There's no bodegas. There's no walking culture. You can't just walk anywhere and run into something. You have to drive into something.
I mean, let's not make this into a thing where we're dumping
no,
on
we're
LA.
We're not gonna dump on it. I like the SGV. The food is better in LA. You just have to drive to it.
Well, speaking of food, you just opened a restaurant here. Is that right?
Yeah, we opened in Chinatown, Far East Plaza.
I want to talk a little bit about that, which is like talking about authenticity, right? So you've said you honor Chinese American cooking, right?
Yeah.
You're like, that's how we came up. That's, I think, a quote in your book, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, Baohaus is now in Chinatown. So kind of, what does authenticity mean when it comes to food?
What does it mean? I think it really starts with like, is it authentic to an experience, or is it authentic to like something an ad agency wrote on your menu? Or, you know, I think a lot of times it's about understanding who you're serving, what are the masters, and where is the power in this restaurant, just like with anything, right? And if the master and the power is the history and native country and native eaters, then, you know, for the most part, that seems to be authentic to the cuisine you say that you're cooking. A lot of chefs cook things like, this is New American Chinese or New American Korean, and then it almost feels like you're just cooking to yourself. Like you as the chef is the audience. It's a little egotistical, and it's not paying homage to the history and traditions, because every time you cook, you are standing on the shoulders of giants. Like, you didn't invent fire, you didn't invent the spoon, You know, like a lot of people did things and you're standing on the shoulders of giants. And I think it's important to respect that and remember that and know your place. And it's fine to tweak it. It's fine to bring your innovation. But I think there shouldn't be this rush and desire to make your imprint. I think a lot of times, a lot of people's initial inclination with anything is like, I wanna make it like my voice, or I wanna make it my style. It's like, well, you know, why don't you listen to what's going on before you? And if there is a place that you think you can inject yourself and improve on this, fantastic. But like, pay attention to who came before you. And so in terms of authenticity, I usually ask like, what are your values and what are you trying to serve? And are you being authentic to those values? So.
And what's your mom's quote about chopsticks?
Yeah, my mom's quote about chopsticks is, 1 chopstick, I break you easily. 2 chopsticks, a little more effort, I still break you. But 3 chopsticks, you're unbreakable. And like, I broke 3 chopsticks and it wasn't true, but you know.
Not those melamite ones.
No, those are tough. Those are tough.
Yeah.
You know, 1 metal Korean chopstick, you're not gonna break it. But like,
that's what they say about Koreans. That's actually just
unbreakable.
Yeah.
Korea's the most invaded country ever in the world.
Exactly.
Unbreakable. 1 metal chopstick. But
and those long spoons. I mean, forget it.
They got the best chopstick
utensils.
spoon game.
Yeah,
Crazy.
that is so true.
Yeah.
That game.
Yeah, no, my mom was really about unity and solidarity, and I learned a lot of it from her. And yeah, that it's time for that. We can't sit back. And I also don't think we can allow people to have hateful, ignorant, fearful, xenophobic opinions. You know, like us liberals, you know, we really believe in the democratic system. We really believe in open debate. But when somebody shows up with a weapon that should not be used in this forum, like, the rules have to change.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go out with pitchforks or whatever, but it's like, we cannot allow people to hold opinions like Trump and Bannon and then debate with them the same way we would somebody like even Mitt Romney. You know what I mean?
He
Like,
seems so civilized.
Like Mitt Romney in comparison now is like,
well, I know, I'm like,
take McCain.
Yeah, seriously. I think the way I would reframe that from my perspective is it's not that people can't have those opinions, can have whatever opinion you want, is that there should be a decorum and a sense of morality and ethics, that you can't use those as weapons in the public sphere, and especially as you're turning people against each other. I would hope eventually they don't have those opinions, but people are always going to be hateful bitches.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, but I don't think they should be accepted in society.
They should not be.
I don't think there's a place for it.
I completely agree.
And you know, growing up, I remember like you'd go to people's houses or dinner tables, and you know, grandma or grandpa or this guy's gonna say something hateful, say something about Jewish people or Muslims or black people or gay people, and it was hateful, and you're like, oh well, they're from a different generation. Yeah. Like, it has to start at the dinner table. It has to start at home. Like, grandma, you crazy?
Yeah.
No.
And then she's like,
yeah. And I think it's like, hey, I'm not afraid of people that don't want to be my friend or don't like me anymore because of an opinion or because I shoot down their opinion, if it's hateful or ignorant. Because, hey, if we're really friends, then I would respect your values. Yeah. If I can't respect your values, then like, I don't want to be friends with you. So I'm going to tell you that. When
was the first time you felt like an American, or really thought about American identity? And I know that there was some stuff about the American institution that you chafe at, or the American idea that you fundamentally disagree with, but you're also here fighting for it. So I'm curious about when you started to identify, and then where are you facing your issues? What are you chafing at right now? Yeah,
you know, the first time I actually felt American and was proud to say it, and I'm not saying it just now because of what's going on, but I actually wrote it in my first book. It was the night that President Obama won the election in 2008, and like, I get emotional every time I talk about it because so much of my career and success I can tie to President Obama. I never thought I would see a black president in America, and to me, he represented all immigrants and all people who were different or weird or seen as outcasts. And when I heard him speak, I was super inspired because he didn't have hate, he didn't have anger, he was persistent. And even now, to like these really tough weeks, you see President Obama reasonable, measured, persistent. He's not giving up. He's not raising his voice. He's persistent. And like a lot of people have given him a hard time because they want more fire from him and they want more anger from him and they want him to be heavy-handed. But like, I've watched this man just be consistent, stick by reason, and not alienate people and stand on the right side. And, you know, he was a huge inspiration. So for me, the night he got elected was the first time I was like, you know what, I'm proud to be American because we did the right thing. We picked the right guy. That faded pretty quickly because of like, you know, a lot of Democrats turned on him his first term in office and didn't support him. And I also felt like a lot of Americans felt their job was done once we elected him. And like, look what happened. It couldn't just be one guy. It had to be all of us constantly, every single day, engaged. And so, you know, that feeling faded quickly, but there was a moment and it was fantastic and it taught me that it can happen and it will happen again.
So it gave you some optimism and hope, or it...
Yeah. And you know what, even the way people have reacted in the last week has given me hope, because people are in the streets, people are talking online, people are trying to figure out what to do. And look, it's never too late. It is very sad that so many of us have let our civic duties slip through our fingers, but at least we're getting on the horse now.
When did your parents become citizens?
I'm not sure. My mom came over when she was 17. I think my dad was like 25 when he came over after he was in the Taiwanese military. They're so bad with dates, like, you know,
Yeah, totally.
I'm surprised I even know what year I'm born in. But
Yeah, totally. That's because the man made them register you.
Yes, yes. But, you know, like my family has a lot of pregnancy issues and stuff, like in my family, and there's things that happen. So when my parents give me actual dates, then I can put the puzzle together. So they've kept dates from me because it's like tough to talk about, you know? So.
Did they talk to you about voting?
No, no. Because I don't bash on them for this. When they came to America, they were never treated like Americans.
Yeah.
They never believed that they would get to be a part of this country in an equal and fair way. My mom was a server at a Mexican restaurant called Anita's in Virginia. And every night, you know, when you're a server, you put the ketchup in the bottles and you do your side work, you refill all the ketchup. All the other girls that were servers would steal her ketchup as soon as she was done because she couldn't really speak English and defend herself. They would end up making her do all the side work and then take credit for it. And it was really hard for her. And she got very, very upset. My dad was laughed at constantly because he was a server at a restaurant too. People laughed at him because he didn't know like the garnish on certain drinks. They say Chinaman stuff. And so, you know, it was hard for me growing up, but I can't imagine what it was like for them coming over.
I mean,
in the
immigrants
70s.
are such badasses.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable what they went through.
Yeah, so they, you know, sometimes they vote, sometimes they don't vote. I was very, you know, I didn't ask them this time, but if you ask my father, who migrated to America for opportunity, he will tell you it was a good decision. He's very proud of coming to America. He's very proud of becoming a successful American. My mom, on the other hand, may give you a different answer. Well, she will give you a different answer. My dad credits America for a lot of his success. My mom feels like we did it in spite of America. And so it's up to the individual. But I definitely am in the camp with my mother that I feel like anytime you are different, if you're a different white American, it's you are doing things in spite of the status quo and in spite of the matrix. So I think that anyone who's different, who America doesn't roll the carpet out for, you've created your own space. I don't bother my parents with the America stuff because they have their reasons for feeling why they do, and I think it's valid.
Yeah.
I'm not like a rah-rah America guy. I love New York. I believe in America, what it stands for and what the Constitution says. Do I think we live up to it? No. You know, do I want to be part of us living up to it? Yes.
That's awesome.
You know?
We're ready to fight with you, right, guys?
Yeah.
You travel a lot. I'm sure you guys have watched Huang's World and Fresh Off the Boat. I hope you have, because it's the best.
Thank you.
But when you travel, sort of what are you seeking? I'd love to hear a little bit about what you kind of the parallel life when you're abroad and what you're looking for.
I like to go places that make me uncomfortable and make me question the way I do things and the way I think. Not uncomfortable in the sense that I gotta stay at a Holiday Inn Express, but uncomfortable in the sense that, like, you can't, you know, just even in any type of way, like the way we eat food, the way we greet people. I like to see customs, I like traditions. I like to see value systems that challenge mine. And, you know, one place I really would encourage people in America to go is Japan. And growing up, Japan was always viewed as like kind of the enemy. If you're East Asian and you're not Japanese, Japan invaded so many countries that your parents and grandparents were probably like, don't go to Japan.
And then you do your 23andMe and you find out you're like 40% Japanese.
Yeah, they got somebody.
Do your 23andMe, you're all a little bit Japanese.
Yeah, but then the thing with Japan that's super interesting to go see is that the respect and the surface level interaction is so different there than it is in America. It couldn't be more opposite. And there's no country that's made me think about what's important and how I want to function on a daily basis with people and with my society than Japan. Japan's very interesting. It has tons of flaws too. So
I got this jacket in Japan, so
we could tell.
I feel a part of it. I also want to hear a little bit about your experience in China, right? As a Taiwanese Chinese American, and then going there. What were you kind of looking for or trying to experience when you're there?
What was I looking for specifically in China?
Yeah, I mean, you talked a little bit about like seeing what your life might have been.
Yeah, I think everyone has to go back to their homeland and where their ancestors are from, because there's things you carry with you that you don't even know. Like just the way you do things, the way you say things, little sayings or little things that you saw in the home, things that your parents carried, things that your parents made. When you go see the original home or the original country it was made in, it's incredible. It makes your life make sense. And there's like a through line in a narrative from like your mother's belly button to you in 2016. And it's something that you just you have to do. You have to do. And that's what I was going for. I was going for like that thread and that bridge between myself and a history that had been broken by being born in America. You know, it's very tough for some people because a lot of communities, they have been broken off from their native history, from their native tongue, and have been kept purposefully ignorant of it so that they would not rise up. But you gotta figure it out. I mean, 23andMe is a great way to, you know, check it out and be like, well, some of this is on me.
I'm not sponsored by them. I just think it's really fun.
I love 23andMe. It's super interesting.
It's really fun to see. I mean, I am 95% Ashkenazi Jew, so it wasn't that exciting, but I learned other things.
I'm like 1%er Neanderthal.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
hello.
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah, I see it right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This plate keeps you warm.
So we think a lot at the Mashup Americans about exactly what you're talking about, being deeply rooted while you're also looking forward and being connected to your homeland or whatever, where your ancestors are, and the storytelling piece of that. I'm curious when you think about dating, and according to this book, I don't want to spoil it, but there's this whole love story in it, and it ends kind of tragically, and sorry.
The ending came out online before the book came out. That's how, like,
no, I was
backwards
Googling
we
it
are.
when you started talking about her in the beginning. I was like, sorry, sitting there Googling her name, just trying to be like, how does this turn out? But
I think a lot of people did, because like my boy was online the other day and he typed in my name and the first thing came out was Eddie Huang wife.
Yeah.
And he sent me a screenshot.
Or there's a lot of people who want to marry you. Either or. I'm wondering, you know, as we're all hopefully dating a little on campus, around the different schools.
Mashing up.
Hello, yes. Do it, and you know, just casually. I wonder, you know, I think one of the things that was really beautiful to me is as you were exploring how you told your mom, how would you tell your mom that you were going to propose to somebody? And she was a white girl, or Italian, Irish, from Scranton, and you were stressed out, and she had this beautiful reaction. You read the book, you'll know. She was like, I love you, what are you talking about? And you said it actually matters to you. What does it mean to you to date somebody and think about creating a life with somebody who is different from you?
I feel like if you are dating somebody and you want an honest, real, genuine relationship that leads to love and other things, the person needs to be able to understand and relate to your experience. And I think that when people date others of the same race, the assumption is that because we are of the same race, or we're from the same neighborhood, or from the same region of America, then we have a similarity of experience and we have a better chance of understanding each other. My experience tells me that that's not always true.
Yep.
Reasonably, if you are of the same color and from a similar region, you probably, or same socioeconomic status, you probably share experiences and you can understand. But I have a lot of friends I grew up with that are similar. I don't understand anything they're doing now, you know? And sometimes I'll go back to Japan. Like, I go to Japan and I've had the best whiskey I've ever had in Japan. I've had one of the tied for first best hamburger I've ever had in Japan.
They do have good beef.
Yeah, they have excellent vintage polo, like one of the best vintage polo stores ever. And I'm just like, how is it that people in Japan, like, experienced American culture on a vacation or through newspapers or movies and TV and were able to connect with it and understand it and then reproduce these cultural artifacts? And that always tells me, like, you don't have to be of this race or of this place to understand the values and experience and what you're trying to say. One thing I do always think about when I date someone that is not of color is, will they be able to relate to the experience of being, like, fragmented and oppressed? And I feel like because I'm a male and I'm dating women, that every single woman has been discriminated against and told they can't do something. So immediately that there's that we can kind of relate on.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like from the female to the male side, but you dating a white man, I imagine that it's gonna be more difficult. Like, they would have had to find that experience or find the empathy in their heart to relate to that experience without actually having it.
As somebody married to a white man, we can explore this later offline. He did good.
If you're not of the same race or experience, then you have to have some empathy, and you have to have the ability to step outside of yourself. So that's what I would say.
Some shared value system, I think.
Yeah.
So I want to leave some time for you guys to ask questions. I don't know where, I think somebody has a mic. Oh, back there. Does anybody have a question for Eddie?
I can start the line on this side over here.
The voice of God. Where's voice of God? That's you?
Yeah.
Ah, cool.
It's Blondie.
Everybody hang
we'll
out behind
the
man with the godlike voice.
Hey, Eddie.
Hello.
So
I've been waiting for you. No.
Thank you. And since you brought up Japan, I was wondering if you had any specific experience in Japan that has really stuck with you for the longest time, and if you could tell about that story.
There are people called hikikomori in Japan, and hikikomori are people who refuse to participate in society any longer. They shut themselves into a room, they do not come out. A lot of them poop and pee in boxes or whatever, and then they put it outside their door. Their parents or whoever cares for them will take it, dispose of it, put food under their door. And the thing with Japanese society is that it is a very respect-based, it is a very accomplishments-based, and it's very big on face, right? Many times it's solely about this projection of self that the rest of your society sees. And a lot of these people, they feel overburdened by the expectations of Japanese society. They cannot live up to these, like, these ideals that Japanese society has, and they become hikikomori, and they're basically shut-ins. And I found them to be the sweetest, nicest, most enlightening people, because they'd been fully broken. They gave up and they checked out, but they were still alive. And every single one of them had hope. And in a way, when I spoke to them, they were all like, hey, I'm smart, I'm fine, I could participate in this society when I want, but it is so terrible that I will not give myself to it. It doesn't deserve me until it gets better. And so I met one of them, and not to big up myself, like we had a really good conversation. We hung out, and he actually like got outside of his crib with me, and I checked back in on
brought
him.
him that whiskey.
Yeah, I checked back in on him like a few months later, and he was like trying to be part of the society, and then unfortunately he gave up again a year later. But it was, I mean, it was an incredible thing to see. So Hikikomori was really interesting to me.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, God.
Hi, I'm George. I'm a freshman at Pitzer. We have a first-year seminar class about Asians in America, specifically the model minority. So I wanted to get your perspective on how we can start combating a lot of the negative aspects. And I think there are a lot of negative aspects that come with the model minority. So apoliticalness, keeping your head down and like moving ahead. So how do we, as Asian Americans, allies, how do we start combating that and like giving Asians more freedom to express themselves and not be as rigidly defined?
The model minority myth is something that's like extremely painful to talk about, because for so long when I was growing up, you know, I would hear people say, oh, you're a model minority, it's so much easier to be Asian and yada yada. And like, yes, we have different challenges, but if you look at the history, the model minority stereotype comes from the Japanese internment camps. It comes from executive order. And so that's another thing that we have to be very aware of now that Trump is president. He could do something like take a race of people and put them into a camp. That's what happened with Roosevelt, who was actually a fantastic president, but Japanese internment camps. And people started to see, you know, what happened to Asians when they came out of those camps, and people are like, oh, they're model minorities. And you know what? If you do this to minorities, if you put them in camps, you discipline them, you know, they'll behave, and they'll be minorities that we like in our society. And so a lot of the symptoms and things that Asian Americans display, it comes from internment camps. It's a very tough thing to swallow, especially when someone tries to tell you that it's easier to be a model minority.
I would say, as an ally, actually my partner Amy is Korean American. We joke about we're going to open a bar called the Model Minority, or K's and J's. I would say I think having people like Eddie as models, role models, or people like Awkwafina or Margaret Cho, or you start to have, you have Master of None, you start to see yourself more reflected and not as whatever that, head down, focus, nerdy, getting things done kind of thing, model minority, like as you start to see the way his vernacular, him being underestimated and then just being like, yeah, I'm an attorney, but also here's all what I know and I wear shants. Yeah. So I think to me that the more that we can promote that in our media and in our storytelling, in our leadership, like let's figure out how we get more Asian Americans in office, it starts to change the narrative because, hey, look, Kamala Harris, she's half Indian, half black, and she's going to change that narrative for us too. So, yeah. Do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It's intelligence comes in many forms, and that's why I gravitated towards hip hop as a kid. There was nothing that spoke to me. I didn't see Asian role models, but I saw Black people talking about their experiences and their struggles, and I related to it, and I had empathy for it, and I was raised on it. Like, hip-hop taught me more than anything else that I learned in school, and,
You're lucky we didn't start rapping, but that's for the next one.
Good question, yeah.
Thank you, George.
I'm Caitlin, I go to Scripps. So I'm from Queens, born and raised, and growing up was really weird for me. I never really could fully identify as an American or Korean, or I didn't know what it meant to be a Korean American. I ate Korean food all the time, but as I got older, I got kind of jaded, and I was like, what is this? There's so much cool food out there that I could be eating. I don't know, and I kind of lost touch with it, and I was kind of embarrassed. But recently, I've just been trying to kind of rediscover what it means to come from that culture, and I'm trying to embrace it and freaking love my food. It's so dank. And I just wanted to ask for advice on how to do that.
I like this. I think you're on the right track. I think I messed up my mic, so I'm gonna hold this thing. I do this sometimes. But you're asking me how to re-embrace and kind of find yourself. And this reminds me of something funny. I was on a date the other night, and I was like making fun of myself for being fat, and the girl was just like, I'm fine, and you're fine. You just need to have positive body image, Eddie. And I was like, oh, word. But in terms of like you and your embarrassment with food, it's okay. Like, there's times where I was like, God damn, like it is really hard to be Asian, especially like when you're 12 and when Asians go through puberty, like we look crazy. We look super crazy. And like my hair was going out like this, and I was just like, what is going on? And I just looked like a human calculator. And like at that point, it was very hard to be proud of being Asian, and it's okay as long as you find it again. And I think it's important for everyone to not self-hate. It's like, you are who you are. And yeah, you are who you are. It's, what you don't like about yourself, somebody else is gonna love. I have experienced that firsthand, and I thought it was crazy. But yes, like something you hate about yourself, other people are gonna love. Yeah.
You also call yourself the human panda.
I'm the human panda.
I hope you guys dug our first live show. For more of Eddie's wisdom, make sure to follow him at Mr. Eddie Huang on the Twitters. Also, it's holiday time mashups. Check out our gift guides and our indispensable guide to being the best non-Jew at the Hanukkah party on mashupamericans.com. Thanks again to Eddie Huang, Scripps, the Garrison Theater, and of course, our producer Jocelyn Gonzalez, our partners American Public Media and Southern California Public Radio, KPCC, and never forget the National Endowment for the Arts. Bye!